This question, I hear it all the time. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Becky. I'm a wife, mom, realtor, and homestager located here in northern Utah. And today we are going to be answering one of my most frequently asked questions, which is, how do I lay out furniture in my open concept floor plan? This is a really common question, especially nowadays when the common trend for the last several years has been to knock down all the walls during a renovation or to build a home with as little or few defined spaces as possible. We've seen a huge architectural trend in eliminating the formal dining area and a big trend in making everything all in one space. While there are a lot of pros to this, especially for families with young kids, there are some cons to it as well. And one of the big cons is a lot of people don't know how to decorate these wide open spaces. So in today's video, I hope to give you a few tips that will help make this process much easier for you. If you like this kind of content, here on my channel we talk about all things home, from DIY to decor and organization. So if that's what you're into, please consider subscribing and follow along. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Okay, so my first tip when you are talking about designing an open concept space is going to be to look at the floor plan. If you don't have a floor plan, I recommend sit down in the space, look around you, and draw it out to the best of your abilities. This doesn't need to be real artistic. It's just so that you have a general idea of your space, and this might help you come up with a good spatial plan. The second thing you're going to want to do is take a look at that floor plan and take a look around and decide what zones you are hoping to have in this open concept space. For example, if your open concept home starts with your front door walks immediately into the kitchen, family, living, dining area, and there is no separation of space at all. There's no entryway at all. It just opens right up and here you are. You might still want a drop zone. You might still want to accommodate those entryway features even though this space is open concept. So I want you to take a look at the plans you've drawn and think about, what do I want? So start with that. Draw the plan. Think about what you want to accomplish. Those are the first two things. Once you do that, the rest of it is a lot of fun. So now let's talk a little bit about furniture placement. So how I'm going to address this next part of the video is I'm going to segment it room by room. If you would like to just focus on one particular room, there will be timestamps down below for you to reference. Let's go ahead and start with your entryway. This is going to be for people whose open concept home opens up and they do not have a formal entryway. A lot of the time, people with this layout do feel kind of like confused about, how do I do this? Can I do this without it distracting too much from the overall space? And my answer for that is yes, you can absolutely do it, and it will look beautiful and elegant and still flow very nicely with the rest of your space. The only caveat to this is that you have to give it a little bit extra thought, and you have to think a little bit more about what furniture pieces can I or should I use in this space, and how do I make it look nice without distracting too much from the main focal points that I want most showcased. These are all common concerns people have, so if you are somebody out there who is feeling a little bit concerned about this, you're not alone. This is a totally normal thing that a lot of people deal with. So what I would recommend doing is choose a location that you would like to be your drop zone. And in this drop zone, you can do a couple of different things. One option would be to place a nice bench that you can either have as a storage bench so you can store your shoes and bags inside, or you can just have a cute open bench with a couple of hooks on the wall. There's a few ways to make this look really cute and elegant without doing a full-blown mudroom, right? Because when your space is so open concept, I would not recommend building in a mudroom because that is going to distract quite a lot from the overall open concept flow that you've got going on in your space. So that's one great option. It gives you the seating, it gives you the drop zone, and it's very minimal. Your second option would be to put in a small console table that you can use also as a drop zone. So you can have a space in that table to store your shoes, your bags, your keys and whatnot, but still have it decorated in a way that is really nice. This will allow you to tuck your things away, so the space and the piece still look very nicely decorated, but they give you the function of the drop zone that you're hoping to achieve. When decorating this space, it's really important for you to think about what you like and what you're hoping to accomplish in your space. So for example, if your living area doesn't have a lot of windows and there's not a lot of light coming in, you may want to consider placing a lamp here or a mirror here, anything to draw or reflect a little more light in this area. That will do a lot to elevate the space, help it look more designed, but also provide you with the functionality that you want. The next space I'm going to talk about is your family room. Family rooms can be really tricky, especially with open concept homes, because of a couple of reasons. One is a lot of the times the scale of the living room is so much larger when you have an open concept floor plan. And this can make shopping for furniture really tricky, especially if you're on a budget, because buying custom, larger scale furniture pieces can be very expensive. And a lot of families don't want to pay $13,000 for a couch, which, yeah, I've seen people do that before. It's awesome, but that's expensive. Not everybody has the budget for that. So if you have an expansive family room, I hope these couple of tips are going to help you. One is consider having 2 couches. I don't mean a sectional, I mean 2 full couches and additional seating. This could look something commonly known as the U shape, where you have 2 couches that face each other and then 2 chairs kind of in the middle. This can work really great when you are hoping to improve conversation in the space. In particular, if you don't want the TV to be the main focal point, but you want each other to be the main focal point, you might really love this classic U shape. It will allow people to sit across from each other, look at each other, and talk without too many distractions. Additionally, you can strategically place the sofas so that as you walk in, you're not looking directly at the back of a couch, but rather you're looking in between 2 chairs or in between other pieces of furniture, further adding to the overall flow of the room, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. Another thing you might like would be the classic L shape. So if you do have a really expansive family room area, you can still get away with 2 couches and placing them in an L shape and then having a chair or 2 on the opposite side. So this will allow you to still get that sectional feel and sectional look without the large oversized sectional cost. You can also do another thing where you have the couch on one end and then your chairs on the opposite end and just a long coffee table down the center. This is another one that will improve your overall conversation areas. However, you can have the focal point at this point being a fireplace or a TV if you like. These are all a couple of different ways that you can lay out furniture in a large family room that help it to feel anchored and designed. What's really important to think about in this space is going to be the size of the rug. What I recommend for rugs is that you make sure that the rug is underneath all of the main furniture pieces. Not clear to the end, but about halfway through. Meaning that when you lay down the rug and place the furniture, you should never see the end of a couch and the start of a rug. If you do this, it will make that living room look really small, or it could make it look really awkward if the space is so wide open and then you have this teeny tiny little rug. So get a larger rug that covers the whole area. This visually will do a lot to anchor the space to help it look more defined as this is my living area and this is where we are going to be spending our time together. That is a huge thing that you can do to help. You can also look into sofa tables, which are those thin pieces of furniture that you can place behind a couch or sofa that allows you to place a couple of decor items and soften up that space. If you do have a family room where you're walking into the open concept area and you have no choice but to have the back of the couch immediately greeting you and your guests as you walk in the space, I recommend putting a sofa table behind it. This will soften up the harshness of the space, help it to feel, again, anchored and designed, but also it's going to give it a little bit more of a soft, intentional touch. Not that you're decorating around something, but rather that you meant to do this and this was your plan from the jump. My last tip when going over a family room is to think about the flow of the room. You don't want anybody to get trapped inside of your family room, so be aware of all the ways that if you were having a huge party, how people would travel through your family room space. Is there a way to get to it from the front door, from the kitchen, from the dining room? Do those tracks overlap, or does it circulate throughout the room? What I like to recommend with my clients is that when you place furniture, make sure that you have plenty of room for people to get around the room comfortably. If you had 12 people in this family room, could everyone get around without bumping into each other? If the answer is yes, good job with your flow. You've done it. The next room I'm going to talk about is your dining area. When you have an open concept dining area, this can be tricky for a lot of people, and a lot of it has to do with their idea of what they want in their home. So like I mentioned before, you want to think about, do I want this space to feel more formal? Do I want it to feel informal? Do I want custom built-ins? Or do I want something that I can change easily later? Whatever your goals are, I want you to think about this space and what you want to accomplish, and I'll give you a couple of pointers for how you can make that happen. If you're looking for more of a traditional style dining room, which is a dining room with a buffet table that is an anchored defined space in an open concept layout, here are my 3 suggestions for how you can make that happen. Number 1 is place a buffet table. This is something that will do a lot to help you anchor the space. Place a nice buffet table. Say if you have windows here on this wall and you have another wall here, this would be the wall where you would put the buffet table. It will help you to anchor in that space and give you a little bit of a focal point. It's almost like adding another wall or another detail that helps that space to look more secure and intentional. The second thing is a lot like what I mentioned in the family room, is make sure that you have a rug that appropriately fits the space. A rug that is large enough to accommodate the table and all of the chairs, but that is not so large that it looks out of place, or too small that your chairs are backing out and way over the edges of the rug. You want to think about the overall scale here, and this will help give you a visual boundary. Where the rug ends is where the room ends, especially in an open concept space where you don't have walls. So I would recommend putting a rug in your dining area. If you've got little kids, don't blow your money here. Get a cheap rug from Facebook Marketplace. That is what I did, and it is the best decision I ever made, because in about 6 months I'll probably have to throw it out. The last tip for anchoring this space is going to be adding a nice light fixture. If you are renting and this is something you can't do, I replace this tip with put a large piece of art on the wall. These 2 things will help you again to define and anchor in this space. Light fixtures do a lot for defining spaces such as dining areas because you don't typically see dining room chandeliers anywhere but dining rooms. This will help it be very visually clear that this room is your dining room, even though it's completely wide open. Now, when it comes to banquettes and informal spaces, some of my suggestions here are going to be a little bit different. So if you're going to do, say, a built-in little nook area, I would recommend thinking about what size you want that. My best tip for you is going to be take some painter's tape and go along the wall and tape out on the floor and on the wall how tall you want those chairs to be, how deep you want them to be, and where you want them to go. Visually look at it and decide, does this work for me, yes or no? If the answer is yes, go ahead and construct it. Find a cute accent table and get a couple of chairs. If you've got a smaller open concept dining area, this is something that adds so much character. It really makes the space look beautiful and extremely well defined. If you are thinking about this and you've got the space for it and you can DIY it or hire it out, I love a good built-in dining area. You'll probably love it too. Hi.
Hi.
The last space I'm going to talk about is your kitchen. I am assuming that if you have an open concept family and dining area, that chances are your kitchen is probably open as well. So I'm going to throw in a couple tips that I think could help you as well. First of all, make sure that if you've got a kitchen island or a peninsula that you put bar stools there. Help this space look defined as a kitchen dining space by adding a couple of chairs. The style of chairs will say a lot about the style of your home, so feel free to get creative and express yourself with those bar stools. Another thing I would recommend doing is look at getting a runner rug as opposed to those smaller padded rugs that you stand on. I recommend the runner because it helps to elongate the space and it helps it to look a little bit more defined. While those small padded rugs for when you're cooking or doing dishes on might be a little more practical visually, they do kind of break up the space in a way that is not the most flattering. If you love your padded rugs, keep them. It's no insult. It's your home. Do what you want. But if you want the space to look a little bit more longer and well defined, I recommend trying out a runner rug. The last thing that you can do in your kitchen to help define the space is to add in some pendant lights. If you don't have pendant lights now, or if you're renting and you can't add in pendant lights permanently, one thing you could try doing is buying the pendant lights, screwing them into the ceiling, and putting in battery-powered light bulbs. You screw them in like normal, you turn them on with a little remote, and that will allow you to have a pendant light, and all you have to do is patch the holes when you leave. This is also a great solution if you don't want to permanently make a change like this and you want to just try it out. However, if you own the home and you're open to it, I totally recommend adding in some pendant lights with their own light switch. You'll love the ambiance it gives the space, especially in the evenings when you just want dim light. It is so beautiful. It's like having two perfect little lamps made just for your kitchen. So go ahead and try out those tips if you would like to. Comment down below and let me know if this helps you or if there are any other home questions you have. I would love to answer those here on my channel. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye, guys.